Hello, options traders. Steve Ganz here, and I wanted to walk you through the AVGO trade, AVGO. The company is Broadcom, and this is a trade that I've had ongoing for more than a year now, and it's one that I have hedged a couple times, but one of them I documented how I did that hedge trade here. And I just want to walk everybody through the 3 steps I've taken so far to help people understand how I have essentially juiced this trade. Now, this trade, if I had only bought my long call and I had done nothing else, just bought those long calls, held on to them, I would be up $111,000. Now, we'll look at a chart in a moment. And I'm going to share links to all these trades with you and the chart down below so that you can click open those links and study this yourself in a little more detail. So, and I also ask a favor of you in doing this. If you find this content valuable, please make sure that you give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe, give me a comment, etc. So back to the trade. So I started off, and this goes back in December of 2023 that I bought these long calls. And those long calls by themselves would be up this amount. Now, going back a few weeks ago, AVGO was looking like it had maybe hit a peak profit area. So I added in a short call spread. And the goal behind that short call spread was to essentially hedge this trade a little bit. Again, we'll look at that in just a minute. And then at what I considered to be an opportune time, I pulled off those short call spreads. And so rather than now, I would have just been up 111 in this trade, I'm actually up 122 in this trade. So let me walk you through each one of these and we'll take a look. So this is strictly the long call. If I had just bought the long call, and again, I bought this says since February 7th. I think I actually created this after the initiation of the trade because it was actually in, I believe, December of 2023 that I bought my initial long calls. And you see I've got 10 of them. I actually just bought one, but AVGO then had a 10 for 1 split, so I ended up with 10 of them. So if I just had those AVGO long calls, this is where I'd be at now. I'd be up 110. So had I added, or when I added this spread, the call spread, let me just take this back to a comparable range. Oop. So we can see that right now, if I had sold the call spread and I still had that call spread on, which I don't, we'll get to that in a second, I would be up 109. So roughly the same amount of money, but this call spread expires here in another couple weeks. So if AVGO did not go higher and this decayed, I'd still end up with some decent amount of extra profit in this trade. But what I did, how this played out, is if I come back and I take a look at me pulling off the call spread, when I had an opportune time to do so, I closed out those long call spreads for close to a max profit. Now, let's take a look at a chart, and I can show you how all this played out on a chart. So, back when AVGO had rallied up here, I mean, it had gone to this all-time high, and then it sold off, rallied back. I actually did sell some call spreads in this general range and then took them off later. I didn't document this one, I should have. And then when it rallied back again, I thought, well, this is a good, likely resistance point. Of course, no guarantee of that. But I felt it was going to be a good resistance point because we couldn't break up into this gap. We couldn't fill that gap at this point. So I went ahead and I sold 40 call spreads. And I sold them for $3.45 each, taking in $13,800 in premium. Now, AVGO sold off after that. But that was 3-4 days later, it had sold off quite a bit. A case could have been made for me to go and close out that call spread right here. I did this call spread with about 30 days out. So only 4 days into this trade, while the market had sold off quite a bit, not a lot of decay had happened yet, but I still could have certainly closed this spread for a very nice profit there, and that would have been a viable thing to do, but I did not. Then AVGO rallied back up, And, you know, again, I was looking really brilliant here, feeling really cocky, if you will, about, oh, Steve, you nailed it, you know, perfect. And then, of course, it rallies back. When it rallied back, that put that trade under some pressure, but it was still kind of in a position. Let me come back to, it was in this position at that time. And we had rallied back, you know, into here somewhere. So again, I was kind of feeling the pressure. I felt like, ooh, this call spread is going against me at this stage. But I also looked at it technically, and I felt that technically we were still in what I would call a resistance area. And given that we were back in that resistance area, I decided to leave it on. Then AVGO went through earnings. It sold off significantly. We had also had a lot of additional days that had passed in here, and this was getting fairly close to expiration. So in this sell-off, I was able to close this out for 8 cents. So basically, I sold 40 spreads for $3.45 each, or in this case, roughly a little over $13,000. And then after this had sold off, and time had decayed, I was able to buy these back for 8 cents, essentially creating about $13,000 in additional profit in that trade. So when we look at those 3 trades, that's why the difference between those 3. If I just had the long call, I'd be at about 110. The long call with a short call spread, if I was still in that position, that would be similar P&L right now, but again, there was still decay to happen on that. But the fact that I closed out that short call spread at an opportune time when I could do so for a total of 8 cents, and then it rallied back after that, that gave me this additional boost in profit from what would have been about 110 up to almost 122. So hopefully this all made sense. And again, I'm going to provide links down below where you can open each one of these individual trades and look at them. And then also I'll provide a link to this chart so that you can go in and kind of watch the chart, if you will, along with my original and adjusted trades. Now, one final thing that I'm going to note here is we're back up to what I might consider a potential resistance area. So while I haven't fully made the decision on this yet, at this point, I want to see how we act over the next day or two. I am leaning toward coming back in and adding another call spread in at this point, possibly at around this 175, 180 range. I haven't yet decided exactly how I'm going to play that one, but that is something I'm going to start modeling here again. So hopefully you guys found this of interest. Again, please like, subscribe, give me a comment if you would. Take care.